Hi everyone, this is your last lecture on sketching. I'm going to show you what I have already done. I kind of revised my drawing a couple of times and taking a little bit different perspective. So this time what I did, a major change is ignore the messiness of this grades because I was just really messing around. And what I did with this one is I changed my 4 meter to 3 meter. So that's the big change. Before, I was using really a distance as a 4 meter. This time I'm changing it to 3 meters. So 1, 2, 3. The reason is I felt when I did my very rough sketch, I felt my room, my happening in the room was a little far from where I stand. So that's why some of the furniture got kind of squeezed to a corner. So I don't like that. So that's why I changed. So I made my room 3 meters in terms of the depth, roughly in the perspective view. So that's pretty much it. And of course, your first version in a way really should be better than this, because this has done very quickly and without very little care. So, but of course in reality, in the future, when you do your future project for sketching, that's good enough as long as you know what's going on. But for the purpose of this class, your first version should be as clear as possible, and your second version should be, very nice grades of your space, and hopefully is correct for how much you want to see. So if you want to view for 3 meters, you may not want to do 4 meters. So that's just something that you can think about it. And it's not that difficult to change, because what you can do is you can ignore the last meter that you add in there, which is roughly kind of a small space anyway. And then you just start from your second meter. Then you got 2, 3, 4 as your 1, 2, 3. So of course, if you just revise another time, things will speed up. If you totally redo what you have already done and do a different one, it wouldn't take as much time as your first version. So I almost recommend, if some of your drawing really getting messy and don't make a lot of sense for you anymore, maybe you want to do another one real quick. So I'm going to finish this project. I already messed up and sort of put stuff in there. I have some kind of a design here, a sofa and another sofa, something behind of the sofa, and a TV stand. I haven't really designed the window, but I think the window is going to be real easy. So okay, so I will start. So this is kind of my final tracing. I no longer need my horizon line, but I'm going to put in my vanishing point. So where do I start? I think I will roughly start from something that's much closer to me, so that next time when I draw other stuff, it would not block my view, and they will not cross each other. And of course, since I already have some of the stuff in there, so when I draw, I can just stop and continue, so that my lines will not crossing each other. For example, I do have some kind of a decorative item behind of the sofa, so when I draw my sofa, I really don't need to finish all the lines. This is pretty much a trace. And if I don't like my line, I can come back and trace over again. I'm leaving the foreground a little bit for later because I think there's a lot of detail involved. So I will start with something that's kind of rather have a bigger, more importance in my space. So sofa. So sofa, of course, when you start to draw, it has a little bit softness to it. It cannot be that rigid. So maybe some round corners. But still paying attention to the quality of your line and as you wish, I think need more details. This is some kind of design that I have over the sofa as a canopy. And if my line is not perfect, I'm fine now. And sometimes I do, every so often I add in a little bit of detail here and there so that the first version of imperfection that would not continue to disturb my view. Because sometimes it's really how you feel about your drawing. If you have a good feeling about it, then you enjoy of doing it. If you don't have a good feeling about it, you can still finish, but you may want to do another version so that your hand got a little bit more loosened up and the lines become more energetic, dynamic and beautiful. So if you really do not have the mood, which happens all the time, you may want to stop and redo it, or or just finish and then maybe do another one. So that's that one, and that's kind of the ceiling. Because when you trace over another time, you may find your line suddenly have much more energy because you're more confident and you really know your space better. So you just have more a fluid line rather than struggling with thinking about a lot of details and then So once you really know what you're doing, then your lines start to have a beautiful quality to it. And as you remember, this is really just a sketch project, so so that's why the speed and the mood is actually important. I'll start to draw in a little bit more detail. And sometimes inevitably that your lines go off a little bit here and there, and keep doing it. And of course it's a long time learning process for doing nice sketch. this is only a beginning. You can only get better. Okay. Some details. Maybe I just hatch in a little bit to indicate that that's a different material, different texture. Okay, and the flower pot. Really the plants. And I think it's kind of important that before you draw in those details, such as plant and all of that, practice on it and kind of have a feeling how they should be. So when you start to draw, you can draw it really quickly. Because if you don't have a feeling and then you try to think about the details of the plants, then you will really, you will really slow down. I think some of the line I can probably fix a little bit better. And as I demonstrate, I got a little bit distracted from talking than really, seriously concentrating on my drawing. So that's just a little bit unfortunate of this. Okay, so I decided I'm going to have maybe the curtain, instead of being, really a lot of detail, that can just be as simple as that. Since I already have this design here, I may not need to have, a lot of more design on the ceiling, otherwise it might just be real overdue. So, too much stuff in there. So maybe I put in a rather simple light, painted light, but I want to be sure it's roughly in the center, which I can check. It's probably here. That's good. Let me just more detail. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it, and maybe I will have a skirting. You always need some kind of a skirting in a way, right? Okay, so another restriction for me is, although I don't, flip my drawing, I do change my position when I draw a little bit. So because I don't want to block my camera, so that's why I'm a little bit restricted on how I can position myself. Also, that's a little awkward there. Okay, so maybe this whole panel comes out. Okay, so I think that's finished. And then let's remove all the bottom ones and then just look at this one. So there really should be some details on the window, and maybe I can make it kind of full high window over there. Okay. Maybe a little bit of detail for the carpet. As I wish, maybe I can add in some more details on the floor. Actually, for this design, it may not look bad if I just add in floor as wooden. So I better put in this so that I know where are the lines. So now I'm removing my messy version of this and then just looking at my wireframes. Okay, so that should be easy. And follow the perspective. So that's pretty much it. If you want to add in a little bit more details here and there, I suppose you can, but I think to me that's kind of efficient to, efficient as a sketch. So this will be your line work, and we'll come back to this work somewhere towards the end of the semester, and then we'll start to color it. So that's going to be your other project.